Hi, it's been a month since the release of information about the Cybermind project and our revival of Geralt of Rivia. We received a lot of useful feedback, got to know interesting people and game dev studios. Today we will not be showing any new dialogues with Geralt, however, we want to demonstrate the intellectual capabilities of AI developed on our technology, thanks to which these dialogues are possible. We also want to show you how AI and NPCs think, explain the differences from ordinary chatbots, and tell you what makes them special. But before we start demonstrating those possibilities, we will answer the most important question that many people are interested in. No, we don't use neural networks, but more about that later. Now, let's get started. Let's start with something simple. In order to properly understand people and our world, AI must have some basic knowledge. We call it the image of the world. People use it all the time too, without even noticing it. You and I, without any problems, understand what a fork, for example, is and how it is used. Let's ask something. What is the dragon of Fyrsdal? Who is Triss Marigold? Who is Athak Akedaf? What is Heliotrope? Who is Louis Closster? And now let's ask some riddles. What is a red big alchemical ingredient? Since artificial intelligence has that basic image of the world, it can answer a variety of questions. And we don't need to put this question in the system beforehand. The AI responds on its own. Next one. We can ask AI about the properties of objects, their prices, ask to list cities, or for example monsters, swords, elixirs, countries, etc. Everything that it knows. What kind of dragonids do you know? What mutagans exist? What kinds of monsters are there? What cities do you know? How much does white wolf skin cost? What magical oils are there? How much does Udvig gauntlets weigh? We can also ask about facts. Who was eaten by rats? Where did the monster of Tufa live? Who spins the web? The AI can answer almost any question if it has enough knowledge. More about that a bit later. We can also learn about what things are made of. What is Ursin gauntlets made of? What does the Skellige armor set consist of? Or talk about the amount. How many silver ingots are there in Ursin gauntlets? How many cities do you know? How many swords do you know? How many countries do you know? How many dragonids do you know? Let's make the task even more difficult. Another important human intellectual ability is the ability to find common features of subjects, situations, to find odd ones out of a big list of things, to use memory, and operate with existing knowledge and experience in different languages. What do the Forktail and the Dragon of Fyrsdal have in common? What do the Greater Blue Mutagen and Monster Blood have in common? What do the Pentinent, the Troll, and the Sarasti have in common? What do the Arid Knight, the Adversary, and Ultimatum have in common? Let's test the memory out. What is a Forktail? What do it and Vivian have in common? Yeah, cool, but let's ask it more questions at once. Who is Leshy? Is it a relict? Did Geralt kill Leshy? It can answer those. Epic. Let's ask questions using two languages at the same time. What silver swords do you know? Остальные? Damn, since it's going so well, we're also going to mishmash two languages in one sentence. What общего между Forktail, Виверной или Осликом? As you can see, the AI already has some of the most important human intellectual abilities. So it's already a real intelligence, not some chatbot with the pre-written lines and scripts like Alexa or Google Assistant. Okay, let's keep going. What is the difference between those entities? What is the difference between a troll and a succubus? What is the difference between a penitent and a ghost? Maybe try to find the odd ones out. Who is the odd one out? Triss? Ciri? Zoltan? Who is the odd one out? Arid Knight, Lothian, or Glory of the North? It is especially important to be able to identify the connections between different concepts while you're thinking, in order to draw the right conclusions about, for example, the topic of the dialogue or the context. What is the connection between a troll and an ogroid? How are the Protofelder mutagen and red mutagen connected? Well, now it's time to look at more complex intellectual abilities. Let's start with associations. Associative thinking is very important since it affects the way people think. What is association with horse? What is associated with Protofelder mutagen? Association Emmy. What is association with Yennefer? In fact, we have achieved the milestone that makes it possible to adjust each NPC's character's traits, their talkativeness, outlook, desire to give out advice, profanity skills, and all that. Associative thinking is also one of the character's traits that affects the way this or that NPC thinks. There is more. You may have noticed by now that there was a true or false question. Is he Leshy a relic during the memory demonstration bit? It may seem very easy to answer questions that require a brief yes or no answer, but in fact, the answer to those questions required a huge background of intelligence and knowledge. And this only confirms the fact that AI thinks, because it's impossible to go through all those questions and short answer. It is billion of options, especially in different languages. And if we mix the languages, well, that's why this is a very difficult and rather impossible task for many people. Let's take a look at this. Is Arid Knight a silver sword? Is Geralt a witcher? Is Triss a sorceress? And now the best part. Many development companies are trying to make artificial intelligence understand the text, retell it, or answer the questions about it. But for mind simulation, it's not a problem. To start things off, we will ask, when did Geralt meet Gunther? The AI doesn't know. Let's ask the AI to remember something in Russian. Запомни, Геральт встретил Гюнтера в корчме в Белом саду ночью. And now, questions in English. Who did Geralt meet in the inn? When did Geralt meet Gunther? Did Geralt meet Gunther? Where did Geralt meet Gunther? As you can see, the AI memorized everything and easily answered all questions in different language. That's exactly what I was talking about in the beginning. There is no need in scripted and pre-written dialogues and answers. It needs only knowledge. The AI was able to understand one sentence, but how would it handle the most difficult thing, the text? This is very important because through understanding and reading text, AI can learn and understand a person or other NPC very quickly. We will do the same trick. Ask the AI about Leshy. What made Leshy attack Geralt? It has no clue. Now, we will give it the contract for Leshy. We are not going to make the task simpler, so the source text will be in Russian, but all the questions in English. Text is in description. Why did Brean Hotsch hang a notice? What made Leshy attack Geralt? Why did Geralt go to the lodger's hut? When did Geralt understand that it's Leshy? When did Geralt find out what was going on in the forest? Our AI is done with talking, so it's our turn to answer some questions about our projects that we have received since the release of our first video. The first things many people have noticed is, of course, Geralt's voice. Yes, we understand that, it doesn't suit him. But there are two important things. The existing solutions for voice synthesis and voice recognitions are barely developed and usually have a rather poor quality. They are heavy, don't allow you to change the voice or give it some individuality. It's difficult to teach them, especially when it comes to the fictional words and so on. We decided to solve the problem during further stages of development because the most important thing is the brain. It does the most important work. The voice is just a way of passing information through, an additional feature. However, we are already working on our own multi-language solution, which will help us unleash the potential of AI and will also be able to recreate different voices. It's needed for the NPCs to be integral, and thus, topic deserves its own video. The following topics were also raised in articles and discussions. The first one is neural networks, the second, mistakes in the English language, and the third one is conversations are in English only. All of them are interconnected, so let's go one by one. As I said in the beginning of the video, we don't use neural networks in the AI intellectual abilities development, only our own mind simulation technology. However, they will be used in the future to solve narrow problems. Let's see how it may look like with a human as an example. You're watching this video and you know exactly what is it about, who is on the screen, where I am, but neither your eyes nor your ears influence what you see or hear. Their task is only to transmit data to the brain to understand everything and forms a complete picture. If AI had been based on neural networks, the project would not have been possible because, firstly, neural networks do not understand the data they work with. Therefore, it's impossible to control the quality of training, create multiple identities, change their character traits, and understand what affects NPCs' responses and actions. Secondly, it's impossible to train neural networks for solving this task. To do this, you need to prepare an infinitely large array of texts in all languages and for each character separately. It takes an incredibly long time and costs an arm and leg. In addition, such system will respond differently in each language, which is unacceptable. And the last one, the processing power also should be taken into consideration. The most advanced gaming computer would not be able to provide these characters enough power, which means that such games would not work without internet access. This is inconvenient for users and very expensive for gaming studios. Here's the example of how IT giants work with artificial intelligence. It's just a huge amount of data with all the questions answered by people beforehand. Afterwards, neural networks get trained on these texts. Such systems work poorly, there is no intelligence in them, and game developers are not going to dabble with them too. Thanks to the technology of our laboratory, mind simulation artificial intelligence thinks visually, in images, completely independent from the language and is developing step by step like a human would do. Here's what it looks like. When we ask a question, the language models translate the text into the images that the AI operates in. Then, the AI thinks and forms the answer. The answer from the image is translated into text and can be understood, which means that the AI is not a native speaker of any human language. It means it's learning languages and gradually improving its ability to use them. For example, the use of articles is one of the stages in the development of language modules. You have to admit, it's very similar to a human being. We start with simple things, then we move on to the more complex ones. Of course, at the beginning we make mistakes, use only simple constructions, confuse the endings, but then gradually our knowledge becomes better and we start using the language like a pro. The same goes for communication only in English. Some users have expressed fears that it would be difficult for us to translate Geralt For example, interrogation. I think you have already understood that there is no need to translate anything. If a person knows what a dog is, he doesn't need to translate all the knowledge in his head. He just needs to remember what it's called in another language. In fact, our AI learns two languages from the very beginning and communicates simultaneously in both English and Russian. Moreover, we teach in different languages, and on video it uses the same knowledge in English. And today you have seen it. So for it to speak another language, only a module for a new language is needed. Thank you for joining us into the journey of the world of AI and game dev. It was interesting. We believe that making NPCs alive is not only a video game's big breakthrough, but also a big step for the AI and other areas of life. For example, education, history. Obviously, not all children like to cram history books one after another. Assassin's Creed series is famous for the fact that it recreates historical events in past eras. Imagine how interesting the history will be if we can walk around virtual Egypt or ancient Greece, talk with locals, with heroes of that time, to learn about life, events and customs. The world of Assassin's Creed Valhalla can also be very interesting from that point of view. A tour to another era is just like Jurassic Park, only safe. In the new videos, you will find new features, advanced dialogues, and maybe some friends of Geralt. See you soon.